I'm going to speak a bit personally, rather than globally, about encounters with Islam and Muslims, and I want to dedicate my 10-minute window here to the memory of Farouk Husseini. Farouk, I met in Pittsburgh, where I was for 10 years. I don't think I met him too long after I arrived there in 1996, and he was the director of interfaith relations for the Islamic Center of Pittsburgh. And I found out eventually that he actually had a day job, that he was an archivist, and I really thought that this was what he did. He lived this, and I came to conclude that every community really needs a Farouk Husseini. And what he created was an annual occurrence at the Islamic Center called Anas Day. Anas means friendship or hospitality, and it would happen each year during Ramadan. People from the mosque would invite their friends, their coworkers, their neighbors to come to the mosque with them late in the afternoon, and there would be the late afternoon prayers, and then there would be this sumptuous meal, and that would be followed by an evening program where they would bring in a guest speaker. And the first year that I went to this, I was so impressed because they had taken away all of the alms boxes. So if you wanted to make a contribution to help defray the cost of what clearly was a sizable investment by the community, you couldn't do so because there weren't any boxes there to put contributions in. And I experienced the sense of hospitality that I'd never experienced before. And it was quite extraordinary. And because he had planted the seed, then after September 11th, then there was the possibility to grow these relations with a larger community in a very powerful way. And so I remember Ramadan fell a couple of months after September 11th in 2001, going to the mosque, and it was completely packed out with people who had come to show their support for what was by then a very, very embattled community. And Farouk suffered for his entire life from kidney disease. He had a kidney transplant which failed. So for the entire time that I knew him, he was on dialysis, and he worked so hard at this vocation of his that unfortunately he passed away about 5 years ago, and he was only in his late 40s at the time. And so I carry his memory with me wherever I go. As a student in seminary, we were required to learn about 2 other faith traditions. I think not a bad idea for seminary students, and so I enrolled in a course on Islam that was held at our rabbinical school, and we had this amazing succession of aha moments where we discovered how very similar Judaism is to Islam on a number of levels in terms of the way that we approach eating, in terms of how we approach prayer, charity, so many shared values. And so I carried that out with me into the larger world. And I was reminded of that first academic encounter with Islam just a few weeks ago in a fantastic interfaith encounter that I had as the rabbi of the Beit Shalom Synagogue, where we host somewhere in the order of 30 school groups a year, possibly more, of different schools, primarily through the Catholic school system, that bring their kids to the synagogue to learn a bit about Judaism. They usually do this world tour. They may then come to the Adelaide Mosque and to one of the cathedrals. So on this particular day, we hosted 70 year 11 students from the Islamic College here in Adelaide, which was organized by their teacher, Leila Al-Assad. And it was just a fantastic time, an hour that we spent together. Many of the kids came in very, very reserved, and not entirely sure what to expect. And we had this wonderful back and forth over the course of the hour. We were sort of comparing notes. And so I knew, for example, that the word lechem, which in Hebrew means bread, in Arabic means meat. And so I looked at this idea of what do you see as being at the center of your meal? What's the most important part of it? And it reminded me of the possibilities for that sparking when people go into an encounter with an open mind and are open to really listening to one another. That said, I feel a tremendous sense of disappointment in Adelaide that there are very, very few opportunities for these encounters to take place with the Muslim community. And I know that my Muslim colleagues are amazingly busy trying to serve this growing community with the schools that are bursting at the seams and all of the issues that arise within the Muslim community. But I wish that I had more personal and professional encounters with Muslims in Adelaide, because I do believe that it is on the personal level that these breakthroughs and understanding take place. And so, you know, as I look around the audience this evening, and I wish that I saw the presence of more Muslims who had come here to participate in this process. And I found myself, since I've had so many encounters and done a bit of studying on Islam, I found myself in the unusual position from time to time of actually being an advocate for Islam. There's a huge level of misunderstanding about what Islam is. And I was sharing in our little gathering here after John's talk that I think this started back in 1979 at the time of the Iranian Revolution, that we first started to see this real demonization of Muslims, and it was kind of really crystallized by the events of September the 11th. On September the 11th, 2002, I participated in a multi-faith observance of the first anniversary of the events of September the 11th, along with Farouk Husseini on the campus, this huge auditorium at a university campus. And Farouk spoke very passionately from the heart, as he always did. And at the end of the evening, this woman came up to him in tears, and she said, "I had no idea that Islam was a religion of peace. I thought it was all about terrorism." And that's why these encounters are so important if we're going to connect with each other on a human level. So that's what I have to share with you this evening. Mm-hmm.